You have good leaders, but the only problem, they're all traitors. Thing is, you can be all the good leader of the world you want, but it is a world that is where the people who rule the world don't want you to be more than you are. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot do better, because I hate just saying that it's the fault of the other people outside. But there's also it's also a world where some people will not let you become more than what you know what you're going to be. And at the same time, it is also the role of us as people to also be better. You see what I mean? You're going to also have to be better people, and to be able to start acting in a certain way as people. And it's hard. That's why you elect leaders to steer you in the right directions. See what I mean? And a lot of these leaders, when they try to do things the right way, or what they believe is the right way, they realize that everybody that they give orders to, they are corruptible as well. And if you find a group of 10 people to do your government who are impossible to corrupt, they're all gonna have 10 people working for them. So that's 100 people that you have to make sure they're not corruptible. And these 100 people gonna have each 10 people. So that's 1,000 people that cannot be corrupted. So for that, you have to pay them right. You have to change the whole system so that everybody is paid a certain amount, and that it's okay for them, it's enough for them. But then you are in countries where people love money. People love money. People want to have big houses. People want to have a great life. People want to have a chauffeur and 3 maids and 4 wives and stuff. This is also something that we have inside of us because of tribal stuff and whatever. And this is where I say that the Occidental way of doing politics might not be compatible with the way our people think, because it's not the same people. It's not Greeks, it's not French, it's not Belgium. And look at them. All of them have different political structures, but they want us to have the political structures that are imported from France. And then they say, we are a democracy, so we can send you money via the IMF. And I believe that at a point we have to start asking ourselves, okay, what do we want to do? Who do we want to be, and how? And try to not just talk to our leaders and when we talk about corruption, but ask about the people who are sending the money, the people who are corrupting them, the people who are being corrupted as well. It's important. But then you have to look at every step, because if you want to change everything, you can change president as much as you want. You can change a government. It's not going to change everything if people are not educated in the idea that their countries are the best place to be. If people are not educated in loving their country so much that they keep it clean. If people are not educated in investing, in putting their money in banks, a lot of people are still working with money in their pockets, and they don't have banks account. There's a lot of people who are not. We call them the unbanked, I think. And all these people, they used to having and they don't even use their own money. They use dollars, and they do a work, they get some money, they use that money to buy some food, they go eat, and then that's the cycle. And all these people don't have bank accounts, and if we started teaching all these people to have everybody has a mobile, even if it's a simple one, that they have an app that they can start using cryptocurrencies. First of all, crypto or whatever digital money, it would create, first of all these paper that is dirty and that is touched by all these people with all these germs, is spreading germs all around the city. The moment that you become a digital currency society, at least to just do all the transaction, if people start learning that this works and they can turn that money into whatever they want to buy and they start using it, then you have all the germs that is spread by the money that disappear. Then the people can stop using the dollar in their countries, which is a way to always be under, to have your balls squeezed by the US, because you are using a currency that they control. And so they define your value with their money. And all these small things is the key is education. You have to educate the kids. You have to start telling the kids that they are in the right place. You have to, and for that, you have to understand that the propaganda machine that has been going on for 70 years, where everybody wants to go to Europe because they believe that this is where salvation is. And when they arrive there, if they arrive and don't die in the sea, they are treated like animals. And they are wondering, hey, why am I here? And why did they send me here? I thought this was amazing here. I thought Batman and Superman lived here. I thought, you know what I mean? And even if I like to play on Wakanda, because it's not of our doing, I still believe that it's amazing to have a movie that paints Africa in a different way and make a lot of Africans. But it's more made for Americans, but at least it made us feel proud. Everybody came to the movie, everybody was dressed with African prints and stuff. But when everybody came out of the movie, we were all proud. It is true. Everybody felt like, yeah, Wakanda, etc. Everybody was, and it gave Africans, and I have to commend Disney for that. It gave Africans a sentiment of self that was important, but it's not enough. It is also up to us to understand that as long as we're gonna turn on our TV and we're gonna watch European movies, American movies, because they have more money, they have more, etc. It's gonna continue this thing where people believe that living outside of our countries is better, and people going and we lose our brains, we lose the intelligence to Europe. And if people start teaching the people who are at home that, why don't you just go in another country in Africa? Why don't we build roads between ourselves? Why don't we start? You have a whole continent. You could just do business between yourselves, and things would be different. And you can start building your own phone companies, your own car companies, your own etc., and have your scientists and all these things. I think it's important. I'm not saying it's not done, because there's a Silicon Valley in Kenya. There's a lot of things that are starting to be done in Africa, but we are at the infancy of that. And I really believe that if people start, if we start having leaders who start thinking like this, it will create something. And if we stop looking at leaders for the answers, looking at leaders to do the job for us, and we start just by doing one thing. When you're on the road, start comporting yourself. when you are in the street, stop throwing stuff everywhere so that your country doesn't, your cities are not dirty. All this has to be, it's the people. It's not the government. The government is not out there throwing things on the streets. It's us. It's the people. I mean, it's not me, but it's the people. And all this comes from education. If people understand that every little action is every little action is changing the fate of your country, and you're also part of the whole movement, and you're also part of wanting to be better, wanting to educate yourself, especially now that everybody has the internet and everybody has access to the information, then things can start to change in maybe 1 or 2 generations. I was in an interview in Congo, and they asked me, "Yeah, why don't you produce artists in Kinshasa?" And I was telling them, because I don't live in Kinshasa. "Yeah, but you are there in Europe. You should." I said, "Hey, listen, we're struggling in Europe. It's hard. We pay taxes. We pay rents that are awful, big rents for small houses, and we don't feel at home. And yeah, we're struggling out there, and there's no market like this. We invest money to make money as well." And then I told them, you have to stop having la politique de la main tendue. You have to stop just thinking that because I'm in Europe, I have to come save you. Because all this is part of the problem. I'm not in Europe because I wanted to. I'm in Europe because my father worked there, and I grew up there. But it was not my choice. I was a kid. And my daughter is not in Europe because she chose to. She's Portuguese, and she's French and Portuguese because she was born here. And so her first language is going to be Portuguese because she's going to grow up in Portuguese school. And then if somebody in Congo, in Guinea-Bissau, tell her, "Hey, why don't you save us?" She's going to be like, "Why should I? What can I do to help? But I don't have to save you." And I was like, you guys have to build I was not talking about politics. I was talking about how you call this, the private sector. I was telling them, you have to build clubs. You have to build places when artists can perform, private ones. You have to build arenas where big artists can come and perform. You have to create these whole markets so that the artists can thrive in their own country, instead of thinking that the only place where they can exist is outside. And you have to find a way to, back then it was still CD, but you have to find a way to have a place where the CDs can be built and the CDs can be sold as well, so that the people can come and buy the CDs, so that then you create an economy that is inside, and that economy can then, you can have artists that become so big that when they go outside, they fill up stadiums as well, and not thinking that everything has to be done from outside of your country. And I was giving them examples like what Nigeria has been doing, not today that you guys are seeing the results, but what they were doing like 10, 15 years ago with artists like P Square, and others, in how they were becoming rich as artists from their own countries, from their internal market. And this also is something where a lot of people, they complain about stuff, but then when you come as somebody from outside like me, you realize that there's no infrastructure. There's nothing there that is done. People just want to sing, and there's nobody who wants to be a manager. There's nobody who wants to be a promoter. There's nobody who wants to create the places, good conditions where so things can happen. Nobody wants to to create like quality television. Nobody wants to create quality programs, etc., 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 etc. And that was, of course, 20 years ago. Today, I see things changing, and people are starting to see the opportunity that are there, and are starting to work for these opportunities. But you see what I mean?